Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are. Oh, I see the flower. What is that? Is that supposed to be a necklace? I got distracted. Ooh, Paul. Doing.
All is
Perfect.
very shiny.
Yes, in the best way.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks for the celebratory vibes already. Welcome to our Q4, end of the year 3, Next Steps Project Forum. You all have been awesome in contributing to all of that to get us here. We have invoiced, we have reported. This is our finale moment. Yay, we've arrived. We are here. Thank you so much for joining. Today, we take this moment to celebrate our projects, our teams, our collaborations, our growth. There may be some traditions you have developed, rituals, rhythms as being part of this project. Please bring that to your context as we walk through. Perhaps you'll bring them into the space. It's also to inspire the teams to present their deliverables, project deliverables. I have sent a few questions for you to think about in preparation. Oh, I should say, I have a cough going on, so I will be coughing and talking. I will be coughing. Please don't mind it. And then, in addition to celebrations and inspiring the teams to talk about the deliverables, their successes and their learnings, we also will make space if there are any artifacts that are going to be shared in the broader permaculture movement collective. That said, those are some of the aims for this event. I would want to read our shared value statement and remind you that yes, it's after the 3 years, but I still want to remind you that we are all working towards the same vision and mission, even when we do different types of work within the collab. The vision is to have, to participate in a healthy, peaceful, and socially just world in which we care for Earth, for each other, and future generations to come in harmony with nature. And the mission for all of us as we deliver our work and align with our mission is to work together to enhance the coherence and effectiveness of local to global permaculture networks, both formal and informal. And we have seen some aspects of that, the Nice Jobs channel, Nice Jobs Cafe, and then I'm talking about the same, but there are and then we participated in some events in permaculture moments and things like that. So we've done well on that mission outside of the collab, and of course we are going to hear about it inside of the collab. That said, welcome. A few things on the agenda. That was the fronting, the first bookend, the beginning. But few things on the agenda. We will talk about. You will talk about the objectives that you began with, your project deliverables, and how have you met them. And a bonus point, which I had shared on the email as well, is which permaculture principles are at the forefront of your work. Please bring, I do understand the set of principles vary for as you adapt to them, but please bring them to share with us. And also, what are you celebrating as a win for your project and your team? So before we do that, I think we should do introductions. No, I would want to know which teams, which working groups are in the room. So please introduce yourself and the teams and groups you are representing.
Maybe starting with the new people first. That would be easier, no? Like newer team members like Alejandra and Paul who joined this year.
Oh yeah. There you go. You've been voluntold. Alejandro, Paul, would you like to come in?
Hello, I'm a new member. And so I celebrate being a new member and being sharing this year with you. And what do I represent? The digital circle and the permaculture convergence. And that's it. There was something else to say. and I'm very well. A bit tired, but very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandra. Paul?
Really, I have a Christmas cold. Just come back from a sun-kissed holiday, but I have a Christmas cold. So there you go. I represent the funding circle and also separately as the fundraising strategist. And I've been working a lot also with the comms team as well. This has been great.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. I'm going to call on to Hans.
All right. Yeah, I'm Hans, obviously. I guess my home base is the comms team, but I'm also a member of the fundraising circle. I think if we're informed enough for that yet, I'm not entirely sure. And yes, I've also been working on some diversity stuff. And I think that's it pretty much.
Thank you. Julius?
Yes, hello, I'm Julius, and I am part of the Digital Circle.
Welcome, Vida.
Hello, I am Vida, and I have a shopping list. Let me try and get it right. So I'm here for ICAPS, for Core Lab training, for APEC, for Applied Permaculture and Community, for communications, and we had a few Emergent Festival projects, so stuff like Permaculture in Africa and that.
Diversity.
And yeah, and the diversity coordinator. I've forgotten how to
Just close the chapter on the project.
It's gone. Once it's reported on, it's gone out of my mind.
Reported, invoiced, all done. Thank you. Yeah. Kate, are you in a place to talk?
Well, she said earlier she couldn't unmute.
Yes, as much as I'll ever be. Yeah, hello. I think everybody knows me. I'm Kate, working on evaluation and monitoring and learning, and for the code for next steps, and also doing the monitoring and evaluation and learning support for grassroots projects, community project, also known as impact and evaluation support for short. I'm on the comms team, and I was involved in the Global Map project and still am, but it's not doing anything at the moment. And communicate your impact through the Emergent Festival. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Kate. Amy? And Anton.
Maybe Charlie first?
Oh, Charlie. Hi, Charlie. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore. But yeah, I get it. Charlie. Amy,
hi, Joe. I'm on the comms team. That's my bio.
He's the one who sends us emails, you all. Very important person. Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks
Amy and Anton.
Do you want to go first?
Yes, I'm in a digital circle.
Yes. I was holding the project management hat this year, and I'm involved in the welcome team, the CoLab training, the APIC. Well, The two teams that joined together this year, the Permaculture Convergence Aggregator that joined the Convergence Research. So that was and I'm in there with Alejandra. The funding strategist / database. We had Future of CoLab events. That was also a good part of the Emergent Festival. And I was basically supporting the incubation of new circles and new service teams, which also are doing great. So very excited to be here, to see, also to hear what other people are also in more teams. So I'm happy that that's evident and communicated.
It's not you, yeah. My name is Jo. For the ones that have not seen me, I think Julius, this is the first time you're, but everybody else knows me. I am part of the Welcome Circle. I'm part of the APIC Applied Permaculture in Communities and CoLab Training Program. I think that's it. And I'm happy with the 3 places that I am in. And I'm also, as part of the Welcome Circle, also your host for the next hour, 15 minutes. So welcome you all. Thank you. Let's just dive into it because we have so many projects to talk about. This is my invitation for you to start going down the list of the objectives per team that you have done. So what are your objectives? There you go. What were the objectives you began your projects with? How have you met them? And did they change midway? Tell us the story of it. And the bonus point, which permacultures were at the forefront of your work? And what do you wish to celebrate? Let's start with Charlie. Sorry, Charlie. It's just you have just one thing that I need to remember, so it's easy for me.
I haven't really had time to prepare, but I just pulled up our objectives. So we had 5 main objectives. So the first was about identifying our audience and prioritizing audiences. Sorry, I'm confused.
You're on the first year objectives, maybe.
I am, yeah. I'm looking for the general ones. Okay. So objective 1, enhancing communication within the CoLab network. So internal communication and then also external communication to permaculture organizations and individuals within the world of permaculture. So yeah, this basically involves sending out the emails, keeping people updated, doing the monthly newsletter, which I think has been delivered on time every time. It's had quite a lot of updates along the way. It has like regular sections now on diversity and decolonization. We've been having this resource of the month, these various highlights, and now it has all these sections on the bottom about like engagement opportunities in the CoLab if you want to submit a blog post, stuff like this. The second objective, research engagement with network weaving practices. Okay, I haven't been so involved in other ones. Yeah, objective 3 was bringing attention to the work and wealth of resources available for the wider permaculture movement. So I guess this involved, there's been like major updates on the CoLab website. We now have this like downloadable resources page, which has, many pages now that are like put into different sections. I guess mostly I've been involved in updating the website over the past 3 years, and it's been like majorly updated. I mean, when I joined it, there wasn't much to it, and it kind of had a lot of errors, and there's been a lot of work on thinking about who we're writing to, what the audience is. Hans and I created these like persona pages So writing to very specific people within the permaculture world, thinking about how they want to be addressed. And then, yeah, the other main thing I guess I've been involved in is the social media. And we have like a LinkedIn, which has been slowly building an audience. Yeah, gradual progress. And we've had all of these different kinds of campaigns focusing on like diversity and decolonization, focusing on climate action, focusing on like significant dates through the year that relate to permaculture. Yeah, and our team hired a comm strategist this year, and I guess there's a lot more to come in this area, hopefully, once more of this gets like implemented.
Thank you, Charlie. Before inviting the comm strategists and rest of the comms team, so I'm going to do teams-wise instead of person-wise. That will keep us the whole narrative together. What is a celebration? What is something that you have accomplished and it's a win from your perspective?
I'm really happy with the website. I think it looks great, and I think there's so much content on there now. I think like pointing someone to that website, there's just so many different resources and teams, and like the Collab podcast stuff is on there. There's all the different information about the different circles and services, and it's just a clear representation, I feel like now, of how much has been done and how much is on offer. Like it's really clear. So I would be very happy about signposting anyone towards the website and being like, look at this.
I love
specific areas. Yeah.
I love look and the new branding that we've gone through this year, or at least I'm happy with that. Thank you. Our comm strategist, Vida, do you want to come in, finish the story, or like add more flavor to the story of the comms team, and then we'll invite Hans.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie, for leading the charge on that one and finding the documents and stuff. Yeah, I think maybe a big highlight for me is the collaboration with the funding circle. And so Paul got hold of us. He was like, "Oh, I want this thing. Like, we're trying to talk to funders. Where's the collateral that we can have some kind of outward-facing media?" And I think that what Kate and I initially kind of scoped the project and developed a quote, and then we pulled in Hans, and he did so much of the heavy lifting on this project. He was amazing. And then in the end, when I had a bit more capacity, Hans and I were both going. He was doing the website, I was doing the pitch, and that's where some of that new branding came in as well. So we're quite hopeful. It was really nice. What I'll say, because the rest of it is in the report, right, is it was a really nice signpost for some of the stuff we've been talking about, integration with different teams and how different teams can kind of like cross over and find resources within each other. And just getting to work with Paul was super interesting and fun and great to hear a different perspective. So we weren't kind of focused on the internal, like collab for collab's sake, but collab for the outside world and getting like, what do funders need to hear? I think that was really, really interesting. So I feel like Hans and I, we've spoken about like the ability to communicate what the collab's about better. We got better at storytelling through that process. So that's probably the most interesting bit.
Thank you. Hans, do you want to finish off the story of comms? Paul, would you want to join into the comms story, or do you want to start on a funding story? Never mind. Hans, you come in on the comms.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm thinking about what to add that hasn't already been mentioned. I think that one thing I can mention is that while reading through the website when we were first working on it, like even back in year one, one thing that did come to mind that I thought should be on there that we didn't have was a page talking about diversity and about our commitment to diversity as an organization. And there was a lot of thinking on my part on how that should be done, because I didn't just want to jump in and write a page about diversity. I'm very much, first world privileged person who has very little first-hand understanding, or understanding, not so much as experience, just very little first-hand experience of this thing. So for me, it was very important that I wanted to bring in voices from beyond sort of my world, and we eventually this year advertised and got Malwa involved, and we had a really good just cooperative effort. We had a lot of long-winded discussions about the collab and about diversity and about what we want and how we can communicate and all this. And it was really a big sort of creative endeavor that was quite productive and quite interesting. And it also resulted in the diversity page, which is now up on the website. And I think that also helped me think about and communicate about the collab, just in the same way that the fundraising collateral sort of made me stop and think and write more, sort of put in words more what is so special about the collab. The diversity page had kind of a similar thing, largely because of Malwa. A lot of the stuff that he caught and was able to put into text was quite beyond what I would have been able to do. So it's that was great.
Thank you. Any last words on the comms team? Anybody on it who wants to finish up the story? Anything else?
Maybe something small there to add. Most of my work there was around outreach and the comms guidelines that we published earlier this year also, that allows people outside of the grant. So if we have no money, people can self-service. So that was important to have there. And we got all team members access to the website. They still need a bit training and a bit pushing through. So that's important because yes, we celebrate Charlie and everyone on the comms team, but also we can't rely on them to do all the work, right? So we have to do some of that ourselves. The outreach was really successful. We had towards the end of the year a really big collaboration between the collab, the EUPN, there was lots, Phyto Network, the GRC, all of those. We basically co-hosted a funding readiness webinar that was funded through the business incubation as a part of the support to the funding circle services, which is going through the incubation now. And so that was like a bridge between the funding circle, the comms outreach, all of these that were kind of folding in together. And it was super successful with relationships that we can go back to. So I think we're really in a good place. Also now we have, and we will talk through this also with the digital circle a bit later with the work with Alejandra, and she's doing really great outreach there. So again, outreach doesn't only live in one team, it lives everywhere where people want to collaborate. That's it.
Awesome, thank you. I'm ready to move on to the digital circle or digital circle team. Are you all ready to move? We've heard about comms, that's enough. No, I'm kidding. Comms is never enough. Anton, Julius, Alejandra, and Amy, I think, if I remember the team.
Hello. I'm going to report on behalf of GRP4 and GRP9.
Maybe tell them the names. No?
That's R&D Digital Solutions, a team with Amy, Dominic, and me. And GRP9, which is services to the Colab, which is Amy, Julius, and also me. I'll do them one at a time in alphabetical order.
Also, we don't need to do in so much detail, otherwise we don't have time for everything, no?
Okay, in that case, I will go rapidly. So for GRP4, our objectives were to research and development digital products for the Colab and allied networks. Have we made the objectives? Yes. We have created a database of open source alternatives to closed source software for most kinds of software, published a decision-making matrix that people can use to evaluate and select open source tools for their needs, and we also conducted an in-depth research that applied permaculture ethics to Slack and alternatives, which allowed us to trial several solutions and select a viable replacement. The principles we have applied were observe and interact, where we conducted research into what community was doing and how it was communicating. Obtain a yield, where we delivered practical benefits by improving information sharing and providing a more sustainable communication method.
Oh, that was about to open the door. It's gonna get loud in a
Oh,
second.
no.
Just a second.
And integrate rather than segregate, where we created a space that brings diverse subgroups into a cooperative flow. And as a project, we want to celebrate Colab members who are able to communicate in a way that does not go against permaculture ethics by using the community space. Moving on, GRP 9, services to the Colab. Our objectives for this project were to provide tech services, hosting, and access to ethical tools. Have we met these objectives? Yes. We have continued providing existing services at a very high availability rate. And we also carried out 2 major migrations, one of the website and one of the Nextcloud environment.
Not so much downtime as well.
Yes, with very little downtime. The principles we applied for those were to catch and store energy, where we securely stored organizational knowledge, documents, conversations, and agreements. We designed systems that prevent data loss and preserve community memory. And finally, we used renewable powered hosting to literally catch the clean energy. Another principle we utilized is produce no waste, because we avoided proprietary lock-ins that lead to software abandonment. Finally, creatively use and respond to change, where we transitioned away from proprietary energy-intensive platforms and leveraged technological changes to reinforce permaculture values rather than compromise them. And what we want to celebrate, we delivered tangible benefits: reliable hosting, stable email, autonomy, and reduced costs.
Woohoo. Especially for that last one.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I also wanted to acknowledge the Digital Circle actually helped us transition the Learn team to the MBA. So we are really grateful for that work. Others on the Digital Circle want to add to the story. What are you celebrating? What's joyful? What insight? What learning you have had? It's open to the whole team.
Julius, you have something to add to this?
Team Circle.
No, I think that was very comprehensive. I don't have anything to add to that.
I must say, as a member of the Digital Circle team, where I am, let's say, the least technical, maybe, on the team, I have been very impressed by the commitment of the people to actually deliver solutions that work for the community. That's despite the difficulties that it comes with it, because it's not always perfect and you can't please everyone all the time. And sometimes the tool is not collaborating with you. So thank you. Thank you to the technical team, because it's a thankless job and it's so easy to complain, but without them, we wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have a website. We wouldn't have a community space. We wouldn't have email. It would all be proprietary. So I think the fact that we can be an example in the permaculture movement that uses an ethical toolkit is a great credit to us.
100%. It's headliner worthy. Thank you. I wanna. Any last words before we move to funding? Circle team, strategists, all of it. No? Paul, you're on. And the rest of the team, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to front the first 2 years of
Maybe I can give a bit context here. So
because
Paul
I don't want to just
came
gloss
in this
over that
year.
at all. Because,
Yes.
go on.
If you want, I can do that. So in the first 2 years, it was a role. It was not held within a team. And the role had two aspects to it. The first was to grow the funding opportunities database, which was not existent. So we grew it from scratch, and it now has over 300 or how much there are opportunities. And so that's a big one up to Tanya, who was there to grow that, and to the rest of the community who was chipping in and feeding into that work. And then the other part was to apply for grant funding for the CoLab to sustain its work in the future. As you know, grant money has a beginning and an end. It has not a guarantee of continuing. So we're always looking out for new opportunities. That's a healthy way to be, right? And also, as a part of that, there were numerous applications made that unfortunately were not successful. So as we were approaching the third year, we decided to shift a little bit our approach and decide to make a shift from having a role to having a team. And then the team was made up of basically 3 people, Kate, myself, and we recruited, and the person who got the job was Paul. So Paul is a very new member of the CoLab, but I must commend Paul on how quickly you became integrated and also how curious you are, and that's to your credit because you you really got stuck in. You participated in activities that were also outside of your role, which is, I was super impressed by. So I think we made a great choice of candidate. And then in the third year, we shifted toward we still had the 2 goals to keep growing the opportunities database, which we did. And we also had a hackathon, which was a community-led effort inside and outside of the CoLab to grow this. And Paul has been working on funding strategy and the funding collateral then with the comms to feed into it. And I think you can take it from here, Paul.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, so I think I came on in May, mainly to look at the core funding, as Amy said, which was running out, as we are here to celebrate. And it's definitely a learning curve for me coming into not only a new organization, which obviously is structured differently to my background in international development and NGOs, but also obviously permaculture, which is a relatively new field for me. So definitely a kind of a learning curve to come in and think, well, how does that work around funding? And actually, shortly after I joined, we went from thinking that we probably weren't, or almost certainly weren't, going to get continued funding from our existing funder, to the fact that we thought actually there was a very good chance that we would, which made us kind of pivot and think. And we still don't completely know, do we? Unless, Amy, you have any news. But we're expecting imminent information about that. But I think that put us into a slightly strange position where it looked like we should focus on our existing partner for the core funding, which is always the most likely chance that you have, because fundraising is very, very difficult, particularly this type of organization and around permaculture. So then we pivoted to looking at program funding, and that's obviously quite in some ways a new thing for the CoLab to actually have its own programs. And Amy and others developed some two programs. So that's really kind of a very, what's the word, nascent kind of development of programs within the CoLab. and we've been fundraising mainly for one of those. The other one's been on the back burner to see what kind of feedback we get. We've had 5 or 6 rejections so far, but I think that has led us to think more about. I think structurally, the programs are very good in terms of their potential. I think what funders maybe want to see is the faces of the quote unquote beneficiaries. And so we've been discussing a bit about how maybe we can work in the future a bit more with partners, downstream partners who are working on the ground in the field, to see if we can have them ready and their stories ready that we can bring up to funders, being careful to recognize that we don't just fund individual projects, but if there's a way that we can thematically develop a group of partners that are really interesting geographically, or because they represent a particular theme, maybe around forests or seeds or soil or something, that can really get the funders' attention. They can really see, and they can also see what our added benefit is, which I think is really important, that we can bring the local to the global, which is of course part of our mission statement. So that's definitely, it's still nascent, but I think it shows an evolution. And I think similarly with the collateral development that we developed, one thing I really wanted to get to the point would be in a similar vein to the CoLab champions, where really anyone, any member of the CoLab could turn around to somebody else and explain what the CoLab was, what it did, and why people should join as a member. I think there should also be a stream that really meant that anybody at the CoLab could turn around and explain the value of the CoLab to someone who might be interested in supporting it financially. That's a long journey to get to. And the first journey, I think, is kind of agreeing where the value is. And so the first conversations that I had with people were around, what is the value of the CoLab? How do we articulate it? And also, what is the value of permaculture? Because obviously not everyone, if you Google it, if you do searches, AI searches, you realize permaculture is not mentioned so much in funding circles, in foundation circles. There are other terms that are used much more frequently. So be able to articulate what is the value of permaculture, how is it part of other things like regenerative agriculture, agroecology, agroforestry, etc. But how is it also something more than those, and something that should be supported? So that was a really interesting part of the project, developing the collateral, because we all had to think. I had Hans and Vida particularly saying to me, well, it depends. It depends who you're talking to. It depends who you're talking to. And I say, yes, it does. But we have to start somewhere. We have to have, first of all, a generic voice before we can have a more nuanced voice. But I think the comms team have done really well in developing materials, which please do go and have a look at and give us feedback. The feedback process is currently in. We have a database of materials that really are around our messaging, a database of our messaging, I should say, about the value of permaculture and the value of the CoLab and our role within the permaculture movement. We also have a much shorter 2-3 page brochure, which the idea is we could send to anyone and say, look at this. If you're interested, let's have a conversation about how you could help us. We have a suite of PowerPoint slides, not PowerPoint, a suite of slides, so we can do presentations and hope to start to do more kind of outward facing presentations where we talk about our work and permaculture and the value of it. And then also finally the website, the section that's a bit more focused, not just on come join us as a member or come access our services, but support us financially. So it's kind of a four funders, 4 partner section that has been put together, and Vida on some of the other sections as well, and Kate. So that's been really great. And I feel now that 4 or 5 of us are kind of on the same page about the value of permaculture, the value of CoLab, how we should talk about ourselves. But what I really want to get to is that next stage where 200 of us, all the members, are broadly in agreement, but also at the same time saying, no, we should say this, we should say that, and we start having this conversation and engagement as we go forward. And then hopefully people also saying, oh, I could actually take this and send it to this person or to that person or this fund runner or this foundation or present at this conference. And then we all begin to take that role as ambassadors for the CoLab. So that's kind of the mission. It's been difficult. There's been a lot of change and a lot of moving around. And obviously with the members as well, trying to engage with people and make sure that everyone is on board with what we're trying to do. But yeah, I think it's developed quite well, and I've learned that we have to do things slowly from being in the funding circle as well and forming that circle. And now I feel that I'm a lot more connected and also understanding how the organization functions. And so yeah, it's been a great experience.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome to the CoLab.
That was really long, wasn't it? Sorry, apologies for that.
It was. Any last words? I know Kate is on the team and Amy had already spoken, but any last words to finish off that narrative? Things you wanted to share that have not been said from the rest of the team?
There is a brand new resource that hasn't been submitted as an artifact yet because I haven't got around to it, but it was launched online at the Funding Readiness webinar, which is the fundingreadiness.org website, which is jam-packed full of resources for people building fundraising capacity for grassroots. So that's something to keep in mind because it comes up a lot in the community space for people, grassroots looking for funding, and this is one place where we can send them now.
Yeah, and also comms team can put it up on our LinkedIn, right? Yeah. Awesome. Connecting the dots. There you go, Joe. I want to invite the impact and evaluation team working group circle-ish. Kate, are you in a place to share?
Hi. Not really. Can I? I'm just finishing up, and Mai's not here because she's got children and is doing their stuff. So she got in before me with her absence notification. So it's not the best time. So maybe we can come back to me later, please. Thanks.
Yep, I can do that. I'll take the welcome circle, and then Amy, I'll invite you back in if that's okay. Well, the 3 years we had been on 4 objectives. One was onboarding the new members. 2 was making sure that the CoLab knew what activities that the Welcome Circle team provided, and 3rd one was the skills database, and the 4th one was the platform facilitation, the platform, the community space now, Slack before. So these were like high-level objectives that we were all, when I say we, it's Amy, I, and Ninad for the first 2 years. Actually, the team for the first year was Amy, Ninad, Pushpak, Daniel, myself. Charles was also there, no? Charles.
And Dunya.
Dunya was more of a consultant, but yeah, Dunya was around for that. And then the second year, it became Amy, I, Pushpak, and Daniel, and Ninad. And the 3rd year, it was Amy and I. I promise you, we did not push them out of the team. That is not the story that I want to tell. But as you know, the welcoming, onboarding new members, making the space warm and approachable is really a more of a intrinsic motivation kind of a job than an extrinsic motivation of a job, right? So when there wasn't much extrinsic motivation around the jobs or the roles or the tasks, people tend to leave. So that's my story. That's how I'm telling it. And Amy and I stuck around till the end of the year. One of the biggest wins, I would say, is we developed, or Amy predominantly developed, the volunteer onboarding program. So I became an onboarded certified onboarder, if you would want to call it. So that was a great opportunity for me as Joe, stepping out from an administration role of the team into doing some tasks and objectives, helping the team meet the objectives. That was my transition over the years in this group. And then, of course, the new platform, the community space, predominantly done by Amy, but also I'm on the administration side. The skills database has been transitioned off to the digital circle. Very happy about it, especially not having capacity to do it. So that was I think a good breathing room for all of us. So that's our welcome circle in nutshell. Anything you would want to add to that, Amy?
I think we were lacking before some of the infrastructure needed to pass on the knowledge and some of the process. And then by being forced to recruit people outside also of the team, that really forced us to document things well. I mean, it's a little bit labor of love, like Joe was saying, because this is not a micro enterprise and will never be a micro enterprise. This relies on the support of other circles and the CoLab members to be altruistically giving their time to the team to do this, especially if we have no funding for it. And I was really pleased that actually I was very happy that Joe stepped up to the plate and said, okay, I want to take more responsibility and so on. And I must say that we share some of the platform admin technical support with the Digital Circle. So if something goes wrong from a technical perspective, the Digital Circle is providing that service as part of the services to the CoLab. And also that the skills database is now, the MVP is deployed. So that's the CoLab members map that Anton been talking to you about it. Maybe you want to say something about it?
Yes, we have a map now, which is deployed on the Verfemma.earth website. It takes its data from the community space, but we can just keep on adding fields to the community space, and we can extract data from that in real time almost. It gets auto-updated with the information people provide. That way, as more people join and complete more information about themselves, it will just update itself going forward.
And in terms of focus, it went away from being a hiring type tool rather than a visibility type tool for the members. In the future, there will be maybe more fields added to the profile on the community space, which means if you're looking for work, you will be able to indicate you're looking for work, what your top skills are, and what is your equitable wage rate. But we're not there yet, and we are not there yet in terms of adoption. So I make an appeal now. If you do have a community space account, please update your profile, make it human, make it more you. Click the button so that you show up on the map, and the more, obviously, the more of that we have, the better. There are some conditions to be shown on the map. One is that you have an active account, that you have ticked the box, and that you have completed an onboarding call. So once you're awarded the CoLab onboarding badge by the Welcome Circle, which now Joe and myself are doing, then that automatically makes you visible if you have completed all the conditions. So
you also need to have provided the location, otherwise the map
Yes.
doesn't know where to put you.
Yeah,
exactly that.
not on Mars. Thank you so much for that. That finishes the welcome circle. If you have more, we will be reaching out, and I want to create more videos and more updates so we are up to date with what's happening and how we are evolving, just to show the value that this circle, this team is providing to the CoLab overall. Again, as I said, it's an intrinsic motivator than more of an extrinsic motivator at this time, and hopefully when we get funding, we will see how that helps us do more of that work. I want to move to APIC. Anybody wants to take in? Vida, would you want to come in for APIC? I can start too, but I just want to break for my throat. And
Yeah. Give me a sec. I would be spitballing the objectives a little bit, but I'm gonna do that because I don't feel like looking at that document ever again. Sorry, I go on holiday tomorrow. I'm there already. You can see the hat.
I can remind you of the objectives, Rita, if you like.
Yeah, let me try, and then you can tell me what I missed. But objectives for APEC, we did a chapter wrapping up the case studies, which Amy was leading. We also did a whole lot of rebranding. So this team before was called Inclusive Organization, IoT. I forget what the T was for, but something about inclusive organizing. And we changed it to Applied Permaculture in Communities, which speaks more to what we're doing, but it's also to do with the previous member having like that as their brand and wanting to have distinguish the two. Then we went on to using the Inclusive Language Guide, which was created previously. Joe and I were then creating these, recommendations on the web pages, which some of the communications team, other members were like implementing. Thanks, Hans. I know you were part of that. And then we moved on to, I think, the more interesting work for our team was doing this action guide in inclusive implementation, which is an asset. There's a set of tools around this now with a bunch of different interventions for small self-organizing communities. And the idea was to sort of guide people through what it actually takes to implement that and give some metrics on how to make a decision. And then we had this objective, which was about decision-making, like how to do decision-making. We were going to like append the user guide and stuff. But with the transition to the discourse space, it made more sense to use that objective for like actually updating the user guide on how discourse works and what was kind of different about that. And I think I've missed one, Joe. I count 5.
Yeah, we brought the whole community together
Yes.
in conversation around what permaculture principles were at work at the community level. So it was looking at applied permaculture in our community, kind of a conversation that talked about what principles, so what, from learning from those principles to so how we have evolved or transitioned, and then now what, as to taking a little bit of an ownership as to how we can use those principles more intentionally around the collab. So we wanted to make sure that applied permaculture in communities was not just a R&D kind of work, but also looking at collab as an example and help give more pointers around it. So that was the fourth objective, the community conversation. And yeah, we've met all the objectives. I would say that one of the biggest things I celebrate with this team is we've had many difficult conversations. When I say difficult conversations, lots of opposite or very varied perspectives, varied experiences, just understanding and defining. I mean, again, it's all about inclusion, but like inclusion on the ground means really working through those definitions and doing the hard work, right? And this team also supported couple of other collaborators outside the team, and then that again, learning from all the difficult experiences. Last year, Vida and I, we were sponsored for taking a neurodivergent training, thanks to this group, and now this year we'd become the team to deliver these objectives that Vida had just mentioned. So it really opened up the channel, like a pathway for us to move from somebody who's benefited from the team to somebody who's actually functionally relevant on the team. So I appreciate the kind of ups and downs that this team has gone through. Amy, anything you want to add to finish up the story?
I think is one of the teams that integrated the diversity stipend more often than other teams. So it's where it's shown up. We had basically the translations were all through a diversity stipend, and then Rakesh came in the end. The previous years, Joe and Vida had come in. So I would see more of this. I mean, that's a success that we're able to. Yes, we have resources. We had resources in the team, but also we recognized that other members that couldn't have participated otherwise and guided them through that process. Not always the best experience in doing that either, but still sticking with it, So there's something to be said there about building resilience and having those difficult conversations. We're all the better for it because we have a user guide now that's updated and that is translated and so on. We still need to implement these changes, so that's going to come over the next few months on a voluntary basis. Again, super commendable that some of the team wants to do this, and it's going to go back to the community. And I think it's been an interesting journey, and I thought we did really great work. And credit to previous team members, because what you see here is the third year team, but the first and second year team included Eileen and Mai, and Mai especially has contributed towards really important documents that are still being used today. And this is for me the true test of a resource that is still being utilized again and again. So yeah, also one of the most popular, I think, downloadable resource we have there in terms of statistically.
I agree. And I think Vida and I downloaded it the most. No, I'm kidding. Vida, anything you want to finish off? I know you began the story, but do you want to finish off? Any last thoughts?
No, I just, with my diversity coordination hat on, I think actually the story of you and I being brought in on the diversity stipend and kind of doing some contracted work for the team, and then that being kind of a test run to like integrate us, like that was the conversation I had. And I think that's a really interesting model. It's what I kind of talk about, that stipend being like one way of creating succession in the collab.
Awesome. I'm aware of the time. We only have 30 minutes. So the teams or the groups that are going to come next, please use time wisely. Collab training. I'll start the story. We had 4 deliverables this year. We've delivered them all. We made an extra buck on the intro to, when I say we, Minimum Viable Academy was consulted for delivering collab training program. So there was one ticket that was purchased outside of the collab membership. The training is free for all collab members, but one person from outside had purchased a ticket. So I would say, yay, add it to the MVA pot so we can pay for the subscriptions that help us deliver this training, which are not part of the funded project. And we've uploaded our insights and all of that. Anything you both want to? So Vida and Amy. So Amy and I, we were part previous years, and this year Vida was, I don't know, I'll tell the whole story. Vida joined this year. In a minute or two, would you like to finish that story, please? Vida or Amy? Yeah, now I can hear you.
Either way, I mean, you want to go? Vida, go.
Carry on. I just wanted to make a correction that I was, so last year, this team and the RC team joined together. And then, so we were but we weren't very integrated. And then this year, I think it got absorbed in, and Joe and Amy invited me in. So it was a really nice experience to be working like that. And yeah, just more integration, I think, is maybe the story there.
Yeah. Amy?
Something interesting that sits outside of the grant but was a direct consequence of it. It's that by us holding space for the introduction to permaculture, which by the way took many hours to make and put together, we started off this peer review process. And now we have some draft document that allows basically for a Colab peer review badge to be added to any qualification that anyone wants to put forward and put through that process. And we've tested it. Kate very kindly not volunteered, that I was kind of asked to do it, because she was the one person who attended the course and had a PDC, so she had attendance, she reviewed all the materials, so there wasn't so much extra work that needed to happen for the review to be completed. And now it is sitting there. I think this could be the beginning of something great for the Colab, not only for permaculture offerings, but other offerings, because the MVA and other teams, for example, Digital Circle, is working on digital literacy, education material, and so on. And this is basically a stamp of quality that any member could use to...
Live streaming is on.
And we're back on. So yeah, you're invited to participate in that, and I think it could be the birth of a research, education, and training circle, and also as a micro enterprise. So that could be something that, if we have we have absolutely fantastic trainers here and fantastic facilitators. The MVA has developed many offerings over the last 3 years that are basically readily available for anyone to access, so free. And we could now basically say, okay, yes, quality material deserves a recognition and deserves to be endorsed and shared with the world, and keeping it as accessible as possible always to people who can't afford to do that. There was also good ICAFS collaboration. So for the introduction to permaculture, we had an ICAFS badge, which I'm yet to issue to the participants. So if you have attended and watching this and you think, Amy didn't send me my certificate, yes, because I haven't done it yet, I'm sorry. But I will. There's two kinds of things that people are getting. They'll get the peer review stamped certificate, and they'll get basically the e-badge that they can display on their LinkedIn or wherever they want.
Awesome. I think that's one of the first of the many interconnected adapters that are coming out of the Colab as well. The Colab funded the ICAFS, and ICAFS now has, all of that. So it's nice to see we are not siloed, but we are working with each other and enhancing the quality and the experience of the members and outside audience to see from outside to within the Colab. So thank you so much. I want to invite the Permaculture in Africa Circle again. If you can keep it short, that will be awesome. We have Nicolo and Vida from the PIA Circle.
Nicola, will you take this?
Good evening, everyone. Vida, I will just good, lovely to see you. It has been nice to actually hear and take in a lot. It's been very nice to hear the achievements for this year, and be short, and maybe Vida will just pick up in a very peak way also. Africa has been a very productive year and a challenging year for us, and especially for some of the challenges you go through personally in life during the year. But it has been amazing because we had a beautiful team, and when you're in the midst of Vida and in the midst of Amy, it doesn't happen that you fall away, but every time their leadership and their collaboration makes us to be more challenged. So what is happening is that we've came up with the guides that will be very simple for someone with less data, from Africa, who don't know how to get into the space. So it's been very yes, Amy is also part of the PI. So it's been very a productive one for us, and the growth of it, stepping in from last year, just only this year has been beautiful. And let me just give my colleagues Amy as investors to make sure that we reach the objectives of the mission of the PIS Cup. Can I just give to Amy or Vida to just iron out? And so lovely to talk to you again and to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Muklo. Yeah, Vida and Amy, please pick it up and finish the story in a minute or two, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe the most interesting thing was just trying to collect resources for this project. And I think there's kind of been a better integration of new members coming in, a bit more attention paid there. And yeah, I mean, things like the funding readiness, this is something that we were looking for. And then to now have that developed by the collab, I think that this, because we didn't find really good resources when this project was looking. So yeah. Amy, do you have anything else? And maybe just to mention Josie, who's not here, who's done a lot of work throughout this year. I know she couldn't be here, but yeah. Amy, how about you?
Yeah, Josie was super invested and really passionate about the work. And I think between Josie and Nitzikelelo, who worked on the guide, it obviously needs a little bit updating now because we've moved to a new platform. So that's something we will be looking at. But also, I think even the whole resources collating and everything, all of this takes time and dedication, right? And the motivation that these people have, that they want the collab to be more inclusive, more diverse, it is absolutely paying off. We have more and more people coming from the African continent. If you look at the introductions thread on the new space, you can absolutely see this. There's so much richness in the space. So I think it's good to remember that it's not only the responsibility of the Permaculture in Africa Circle to hold that, but it's all of us that are active there to make people feel welcome and answer their questions, try to help them out a little bit as they're finding their way around. And maybe invite them into our projects. If we're doing some work and we think it could do with someone reading over it and give you an outside perspective, this is the perspective you want, right?
Yeah. Thank you. The next one, I'm going through my list, convergence.
I picked this up then maybe. And then Alejandra, I'll bring you in on the second bit. So this was the amalgamation of two projects, Convergence Research and the Permaculture Convergence Aggregator. The research was already completed in the first 2 years, and then in the third year, it is the synthesis in a report. So Candida was very kindly looking through all those materials and synthesizing the report. Unfortunately, she doesn't have so much capacity because she's just had a child. So a lot of the work had to be asynchronous, which was, it was fine, but it's not the usual way we work. We like to meet each other and spend time, and this was a little bit of a challenge. On the third year, we joined with the Permaculture Convergence Aggregator because all the resources and the effort that went into the research, actually the outputs of that are showcased in the Permaculture Convergence Aggregator, of which Alejandro is a member. And a lot of that effort is going into building those bridges with the organizers. So I have joined the International Permaculture Convergence Council, and I'm going to those meetings. We're having discussions about onboarding them onto the community space so that there is more richness again there, more strategy, more network moving. And as a part of that effort, Alejandra met with some people. I'll pass it on to you, Alejandra. You can tell them who you've met with and what you've done.
Hello. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, I've been all this happened to me. I'm happy that happened, but it was very interesting. So now we are in close connection to the organizers of the next permaculture convergence that will take place in November 2026. And part of the effort on collaboration and promoting the event and promoting permaculture at large, and try also to make the collab a warm hosting place for everything regarding this event. Has led me to interview Michael, an organizer. You can see the interview on the Permaculture Aggregator homepage, Permaculture Convergence, sorry, the website. And it will go out with the newsletter. So if you don't find it, you will find it. Have a listen. It was an interesting conversation. Maybe sometimes it was a bit lengthy, and I hope I was clear enough, but it was a very interesting conversation and a call to action to really collaborate worldwide. And yeah, it's been a nice adventure. Thank you.
Thank you. Any last thoughts before we move to impact? Okay, Kate, you're on.
Hello. Right, thanks for bearing with me earlier. Sorry, it was a bad time. Hungry child who'd been swimming, needed food. I was just serving it up. So we've both eaten and we're both in much better spirits. So, yes. So yeah, the impact and evaluation support project was our main objective was to help support and learn from grassroots projects that want to understand and communicate their impact. So whether that's doing internal evaluation so that they can learn about what's working and not working in their project, and whether it's communicating to funders how they've done, or other stakeholders, the outcomes of their work. And I think it's fair to say that we're starting with most projects are at quite a basic level, pretty good at assessing their outputs, how many people they've trained and how many trees they've planted. But beyond that, they don't really have too much evidence around what impact the work is having on the local community or the local environment. So we worked with 7 projects in Cameroon, Uganda, Malawi, DRC, Zimbabwe, and 2 in Kenya, one of which is based in a refugee camp, and worked with them in various ways to signpost them to courses and resources, help them to through an action learning pathway, or design an action learning pathway that met their needs and their aims for the process, to basically upskill them in thinking about how to evaluate their project given their resources and skill on the ground, and the any possible challenges around the participants. Many people have very low education levels and so are unable to participate in data collection in the way that we might often think about here in the CoLab, for example. It was really a step outside the CoLab, but it was a really great example of how we can use what we've got in the CoLab to connect and to enable grassroots projects and local projects to progress, for want of a better word. So we created action learning groups where we met regularly with the same group of people that were studying the same stuff, not studying, trying to evaluate the same stuff, and we learned together. We had a soil action learning group, so people learned how to do soil tests and then worked out how they would do a soil evaluation plan with their participants on the ground, which was very exciting, and that was new for everybody, and that's really cool. We had WhatsApp groups, we had one-to-one sessions, we signposted to courses, and we had a lot of peer-to-peer learning, and we also had as much learning from Mai and I learned as much as the participants, I would say, in terms of what works, what doesn't, how to help people, what kind of support people need. And the idea of this is that we're moving towards, we're nudging these projects and hopefully in the future others towards gathering data and evidence and about the actual outcomes, which is not easy and it's slow. It's slow work and it's not usually funded for the project either. So people were really dedicated in their approach to this, very keen to learn, came up with some great plans. We've got developed indicators and we've developed tools with the working with Permaculture Impact Project, which is also me and Mai and Amy. But we really integrated across those two projects and used the best parts of both and developed new tools for example, food diaries and soil testing and things that are appropriate for the types of participants that these grassroots projects are working with. I think that's it, except to say we tried to make the best of, I think it's a great example of if the CoLab wants to reach out more to support work on the front line, then we've learned a lot about it, and it's a great example of how it can work. We also offered micro grants. Final thing, we offered micro grants to enable the projects to do more of this type of work, but we deliberately did not reveal that until nearer the end of the process because we wanted to attract people who were really genuinely keen to do this work and learn, and also we wanted to see how possible it is to do it without a false incentive of if you do this and you tick these boxes then you get some money. So it was really we had a scramble at the end of last week, Amy will tell you, and this week to get all the paperwork done for the micro grants. But it was really important to us to see actually how realistic is it that we can ask projects to do this kind of work, and how much do they want to do it, what is the need. So we did that, and we've got seven lovely case studies which are up on the database or will be very soon, and that describe those interactions that we've had. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you. I did not know about that, but I feel more richer just listening to the kind of work that has happened on that. So thank you for sharing. Amy, any thoughts to finish off the story on the impact?
No, I think I did a good job at it. We managed to onboard all of the people who to whom the micro grants were offered. So now they're CoLab members, and I encourage you to integrate them in a like if you see them asking around things, please answer. So it's not only me that is responding to these queries. But...
Yeah, thank you. Amy, this is I would like to invite you to, if I didn't catch anything, this is the time for you to finish off the story as a PM, and you've got 3 minutes. Yeah, take your time.
Maybe Vida, you want to say something? I know that there's this proposal on the table there from ICAFS, and
yeah,
you want to say something quickly about it?
Yeah, sure. I can just say that ICAFS had a really good year. We had 2 new team members, both of which I think have submitted notifications of absence. One is, I think we all know Jen has had some health struggles, so if we just keep her in our good vibration, she's going through like the last of it, hopefully. And Kiala has a very young baby, and he was also unsure if he could be here, so I'm just speaking them into the room. But yeah, we've had a really, really good year, and they volunteered a lot of time, we all did, to kind of get us over the line. But what we have is basically a proposal for the CoLab to continue using ICAF services in the coming years. And there's a consent process as well as at the moment where we haven't, of course, as CoLab, we have our allied partners, but ICAFS is busy fundraising. It was a proposal that was taken to Paul and Amy when they were looking to develop these programs for a modular PDC design. And this is looking to kind of integrate all sorts of course providers. So if you are a course provider, if you teach PDCs, we'd love to hear from you. If you've taught modular PDCs, even more so. We're going ahead, we are fundraising for this, we've got some interest. But the proposal in this space is that we want to use the CoLab logo because we recognize CoLab as a founding member. So we might be also an example of a kind of micro enterprise, which is, I don't want to say exiting collab, but we kind of have the wings and we're flying out of the nest a bit. And we want to be able to say, you know, we have the backing of the collab and we can come back to you with opportunities. And there is, once things get going, opportunities for paid work in your areas of expertise. So if we have an agroforestry badge, someone with agroforestry experience, we will always come back to the collab to reach for that. So yeah, I think that's the most important stuff to share.
And you can find it in the subcategory under research, education and training, ICAFs. Okay, final words. I don't have much. Thank you so much. I mean, with my project manager hat on, you have been super collaborative and you have complied in the most cases, let's say, to what was asked of you without too much complaining. And I know some pushing, there's always a little bit, oh, the time doesn't work, the day doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and why don't we? Yes, all of that. We have held that and we have reached the end. And I think we will have a super mega great report to send back to the funder. Hopefully that will push them over the threshold and they will say yes. Of course, we still need to do the work, right? We still need to do the work to be financially sustainable beyond grants, because the grants are fickle and not a stable way of being, but it's also convenient. So thank you so much, everybody. I want to invite Mikulo's getting married. Yes, if you want to, there is a little in the random subcategory, you can support that. And I want to invite Anton to play his ukulele, so we can take a picture together. We can, if you can show your face and we can take a picture while this is happening. You do a little dance, that'd be really great. So we can put it in the
thumbnail of the recording.
Are you ready?
As ready as we can be. You have a song to go with it.
There you are.
Okay.
Oh, Hans is also willing to play.
Oh yes, Hans, please play something. Maybe together.
But the sound is not piped in, so you can't actually hear anything I'm playing anyway. But
that is sad. Well, next time. Well, let me take this screenshot before you all go. So if you can show your face, that would be amazing, even for a moment. Okay, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Yay! Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us, and see you. Keep in touch. We are on the community space. This is not a goodbye. This is just bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. I love the hats and flowers.
It's your hat.
I remember buying it.